Hello and welcome to another Diablo build video. I love this game. I've really gotten back into it since the expansion came out, and because of that, I've been playing this and Persona 3 Reloaded nonstop. So I actually want to play Persona 3 Reloaded, and I want to finish that game. But this is becoming very addictive because after I went through all the season mode crap, I did like the first 6 or 7 chapters of the season before I just quit it because it was getting a little bit too much. I figured I would go back and play my Barbarian because my Barbarian was messed up. I hadn't played him since the retail launch of this game, 2 years ago or whatever. So I hadn't played him in a while, and because of all the patches and the item changes, my Barbarian had become very broken. He was a joke. So I thought, I'm going to get back on this Barbarian. I'm going to trash all of his equipment. I'm going to start him over as if he was a level 1 character, and we're just going to rebuild him. And that's what I did. So I went through the campaign and the expansion with him, and, did all that happy horse shit. And I came to a very interesting realization, and that was that I could use the charm sets, which I'll show you here later, to increase not only the power of his ultimate summoning skill, where he summons the Ancients, but I could also increase the power of my favorite skill in the game, Hammer of the Ancients. So, yeah. I was able to get up to Torment 8. I know it lists me as being in Torment 7 now, but I can do Torment 8, and I'll show you in a bit. Yeah, I got his damage pretty good, and I'm going to show you the build. The build basically focuses around empowering your Hammer of Ancients and keeping a Fortify shield up so that you do more damage while fortified. So let me just go over the basics first. As far as the skill tree goes, I choose Frenzy. Frenzy is basically... I only use that when I desperately need to either trigger my Berserker ability or I need extra Fury, because it's a very easy way to build up Fury. And if you're going up against enemies that are very spongy, like in Torment 8 or 9, you're going to need a constant battery of Fury because you're going to run out of it a lot. I picked the one that gives you additional stacks. I picked the passive that gives you a stack of Ferocity. And then I do the one where Frenzy deals some bonus fire damage. That being because I really don't like the other two. So, I mean, you probably could pick an additional 5 times, and you gain Berserking for 5 seconds while at maximum, but all that does is it makes you have to contact an enemy 5 more times, and that's times you could be spending doing a more powerful attack, which is why I don't do it. So, my main bread and butter attack is my Hammer of the Ancients. I choose the one where you deal increased damage if you have overpower. I'm going to get to that later, how I build and maintain overpower. I pick the passive that increases the size, the radius of the attack, and its damage. And I like picking the Ancestral passive because that summons a couple extra Ancients next to you that do the same attack. So you're basically getting like 2 more attacks out of it and doing triple the damage. Down here, I like to get the Rallying Cry and the War Cry. I don't really move them up too much, as you can see, because I only need them to increase my attack speed, make enemies slow and vulnerable, and to increase my damage. That's all it does. They have such a low cooldown that you can basically cast them, and within 5 to 10 seconds, cast them again. So when I'm going through a dungeon, I put them on the shoulder buttons of my controller. Yes, I play with a Xbox gamepad, so shoot me. And I hit the left and right trigger buttons and keep those up because it's just like, it's basically a free passive, essentially. It's a damage boost, it debuffs the enemies, and it makes you faster. So what's not to like? And my other attack that I get is Death Blow. I pick the one that allows it to give you a stack of overpower when it kills an enemy. That's one of the ways I can maintain my overpower, so that it, like I showed you up here, I took the passive where my Hammer of Ancients does 20% extra damage if you have overpower. Well, there you go. So that's one of the ways my overpower stays up. Death Blow has 2 charges. I picked that passive because it just gives you more of a chance to kill something with it, which helps you in the long run. And I chose the Sonic Boom passive because that just adds more damage to it. The other two don't really add as much base damage to it as Sonic Boom does. So, and for ultimate skills, I've actually gone with Call of the Ancients because it deals some pretty decent boss damage now that I have the extra Ancient summoning ability. So I picked the Ancients attack 20% faster, which, you know, helps when you're going up against a boss. I picked the damage bonus because damage is always what I'm looking for. And I went with the Ancients being empowered. That just causes them to do more damage. We're playing in basic here. You know, we're doing what works. Okay, so before I get to my equipment, these charms are actually very important. They're probably, from what I've seen, the most important build thing you can do for your character. So what I did is I went with the Bull Kathos Pride set. And what this does is it essentially improves the damage output of all your ancient abilities, such as Hammer of the Ancients and the summoning, that ultimate skill that summons ancients. But not only that, but it also adds an extra ancient to every skill. So now your Hammer of the Ancients has 3 Ancients who are doing the same skill, and instead of summoning 3 Ancients in your ultimate, you're summoning 4. And you're tripling their damage. So yeah, it's pretty good. Now, one thing I would advise you to do with this build, which is what I did, you notice I got some really good bonuses on my charms. Like I got +2 to Weapon Mastery, +2 to Weapon Mastery, +3 to Martial. I did this by going to the Haraja Cube and re-rolling set charm. And I would re-roll my set charms until I got exactly what I wanted. It's really cheap because the dust needed to re-roll the set charms can be found pretty much anywhere. All you have to do is just break down your other charms, and you'll have enough to, you know, re-roll a few times. So no big deal. As for gear, right now I have the Grandfather, an ancestral mythic version of the Grandfather, as my two-handed sword. As you can see, this is probably the best weapon for a Barbarian in the entire game, in my opinion. I know someone's going to post in the comments and say you're full of shit, you suck at this game, there's like 50 million better weapons than this. I don't know. When it comes to pure damage, there's nothing better than the Grandfather. And I got this off of a drop from that ice dragon, the one of the greater lair monsters. I don't remember what his name is, but I farmed him about a dozen times, and he dropped this. I think Andariel was the one that dropped my Doombringer, and I'm using the Doombringer in my main hand. Not because it does a lot of damage, because it obviously doesn't. I have far more damaging one-handed weapons than this. I'm basically using this because of its incredible defensive ability. You get 18% maximum life boost, 12% damage reduction, and 35 damage is what I put on there. But it's not really meant to do damage, it's meant to prevent you from taking damage. So that's why my toughness rating is like over 1 million, essentially, because of the Doombringer. As for... there's a couple other things. I have the Tam Vex rune combination on here, and the reason I get that is because for every... I think it's like for every non-channeled core skill, yeah, that's what it says, I get 25 points, and once I hit 100 points, it gets +1 to all of my skills and maintains it for 10 seconds. Since I'm going to be casting Hammer of the Ancients almost non-stop and spamming it, I'm going to have a constant +1 to my skills. That might not be a lot, but it's something. And I actually kind of enjoy having that little buff. Everywhere I can get it, I try to get like an extra point to my chosen skills. So on my boots, I put gain 1 overpower stack each time you swap weapons, because what I normally do is, where did I put it? I must have taken it off. Yeah, I did take it off. But what I do is to maintain overpower, I'll switch to my weapon mastery skill, which is my two-handed sword, my grandfather, and I'll do death blow. I'll kill a couple enemies with death blow. Since it has a very large radius, there's a very good chance it's going to kill something. You get an overpower, and I also put on my gauntlets, while you have overpower charges, your bludgeoning weapon deals more damage. So that once again feeds my Hammer of the Ancients, because I use the bludgeoning weapon with my Hammer of the Ancients. And on my bludgeoning weapon, this is getting kind of complex, I know, bear with me. I put a bonus 104% bonus to my ancient skills, which not only improves my Hammer of the Ancients, but also the summoning ultimate that I get. So, what else? Here, another thing I like to do is I imprint my pants with weapon mastery skill, which is what I do to build up my overpower charges. It also fortifies you for 5% of your maximum life. So when I need fortify really quick, that's what I do. I hit that, and that gives me my fortify, and usually keeps the fortify shield up. Imprinted with my armor, I take the easy way out, which is the 115% bonus to your total armor. With my helmet, I just put the increased fortify generation, because fortify is very important with this build. I'm going to show you why later. I also, on my amulet, since it gets a ×2 bonus, I put while fortified, you deal increased damage, so instead of doing about 40, it does 81%. And of course the rings, I don't really care too much about them, but I just skills deal up to 55% damage based on how much fury you have. Usually I'm going to be running pretty low on fury, but sometimes if I, build it up with a lot of death blow attacks, I might be stuck at a high amount, and that is just more damage. It's just a simple way to get more damage. And here too, each point of fury you generate increases your damage by 1.25%. It's not much, but it's something. So that's my gear. Now my Paragon board, that gets a little bit complicated. There's just couple key things that I did. Is where is it? I picked the one that berserking, because we usually will be berserking if I build up enough fury with my frenzy attacks. You just deal 45% increased fire and physical damage, which is good because Hammer of the Ancients, the way I have it set up, actually does fire damage. So this, helps that a little bit. I also picked, for every 300 fury you spend, you gain 2% of your maximum life as Fortify. This also helps maintain Fortify. Because I have a lot of skills in the board here. I don't know where they are. Yeah, see, I have a lot of skills in here. At least half of my skills give me damage bonuses if I'm fortified. So I try to get skills that keep the fortification up so that I can continue to do more damage. And I'm also going to get Flawless Technique once I get a few more Paragon levels, but I'm trying to fill out the rest of this board. So, okay, that is... Let me get a drink, because now I'm incredibly thirsty after talking so much. Don't mind me, the air conditioner is on full blast because it's like 98 degrees outside. Okay, so I'm going to do first I'm going to do a Torment 7, basically a Torment 7 dungeon. and then I'm going to do a Torment 8. And I know what people are saying. It's like, well, you know, you're not on Torment 12 yet, you noob. Yeah, that's because, and I'm going to show you, before I go out there, I'm going to show you a couple things I'm working on to improve my damage output. First of all, okay, these pants right here will add another Ancient to my summons to make it 4 instead of 3 every time I use my Hammer of the Ancients. And it will also increase it by 36%, the damage. Here's the problem. Do you see the stat difference on these two pants? Yeah. I have a triple Ancestral Legendary pant. And that Ariat's Blessing does not help me at all. At all. The stats on it are absolute dog shit. I need the ability, but I take a huge hit to my defense if I wear it. So I'm currently working on that. I want to get a better version of it to drop, then we'll think about it. And I also want to use the third blade, because it says you're, hold on. I currently have an Ancestral Legendary Sword that does tremendous damage. This third blade, though, if I can find a good version of it to drop, it turns your weapon mastery skills into core abilities that have a 100% cooldown reduction. But instead they cost Fury and deal 150% extra damage. That's freaking sick. The problem is, both of the rolls that I got on these items are absolute dog shit. So I can't really use these, unfortunately. So that's where I'm at. Now, once I get a good roll of those two items and put them on this character, I should be able to go up to Torment 10 or 11, no problem, with the kind of damage. I mean, defense isn't my problem. The enemies don't do damage to me. My guy's basically an invulnerable tank with 92% damage reduction. But it's the damage. See, I'm going to show you, my Frenzy, when I'm under full Frenzy, does about 20 million a hit. My Death Blow, its normal damage is about probably 50 to 100 million, and I've seen it crit for about 2 to 300 million. My Hammer of the Ancients, however, its normal hits are around 200 to 500 million a hit, and I've seen it crit for as much as 3 billion. That's with a B. 3 billion damage. So, yeah, that's good damage for Torment 7 and 8. But when you start going up past 8, things have like several billion hit points apiece. And it just gets very ridiculous. So I'm still working on getting my damage up to where I can survive. I mean, they can't kill me in higher levels. It's just that I have trouble killing them. So before you go on there and type, Lyric, you're a friggin' noob, I'm going to explain that, so it's still a work in progress. I started this character literally a week ago. The fact that I got him here this quickly and this well is something to be proud of, in my opinion. So what I like to do is I like to build up Fury by using my weapon mastery abilities. So what I'm doing is I basically use my weapon mastery, my death blow. That helps me get and maintain not only overpower charges, but it also keeps my fortify up, which in turn allows me to do more damage. Not only because fortify increases my damage, but the overpower charges increase my damage as well. So it's not so much that death blow is like an attack that I use to kill things with. It's actually kind of like a buff, if you can believe it. I kind of use death blow as a buff. Do enemies die from it? Yes, they can. However, it does about 50 to 100 million damage, while my Hammer of the Ancients does around anywhere to 100 to 500 million damage. So as you can see, it's not really my bread and butter attack. Now there was 667 million, 721 million. See, I can summon my Ancient, my Ultimate, and the cooldown, by the time they're done, notice the cooldown timer is at 10 seconds. So they leave, they get unsummoned, and my cooldown timer is already at 10 seconds for that ability. You really can't beat that. It's almost like free attacks. Or as the meme says, it's free real estate, right? So that's basically why I do it. I mean, they're not super strong. They're not going to, you know, destroy everything on screen, at least not at this level. But they do nice damage, especially if you summon them during a boss fight. I already have all 4, if you notice, I have all 4 reward upgrades, even before the last, I mean, honestly, I'm going to be honest, Torment 7 is nothing to this character. I can cut a bloody swath through Torment 7 like it was noob levels. I'm sure some people are going to respond out there to it and say Torment 7 is noob levels, but keep in mind, I'm not like a super Diablo nerd that plays non-stop all day, every day, and I don't belong to a guild. I don't really go on the forums that much. I'm very antisocial. So all of the builds that I use are builds I myself have more or less come up with in my own autistic brain, but, you know. Okay, so, all the bullshit aside, let's go fight a boss.
You know death as intimately as I.
I have become.
She didn't last very long, did she? Alright, so that's good. Didn't really pick up anything decent in there. I'm just basically stocking up runes because I'm going to use them for crafting. Okay. So as you can see, very good build. Very good build. Completely wipes the floor. You notice I never once fell below maximum health. Now, let's do Torment 8. So here's Torment 8. We're going to do a Torment 8. Not only Torment 8, but a Tier 64 pit level. Strategy remains the same, basically. The only difference is enemies get a little spongy in Torment 8. And you notice my Fury tends to run out a little bit. So I may use it like my normal berserking move to kind of refill it. This is why I don't normally play on Torment 8, because this kind of stuff annoys me. I don't like having to constantly run out of resource. Notice they can't do any damage to me. These things, I have 92% damage resistance. Nothing in this game that I've encountered yet, not even the super bosses, can do much to me. My only problem right now is trying to max out my damage potential. That's it. Keep in mind, this is a higher Torment 8. This is not just Torment 8, it's like Torment 8.5. So before you tell me, oh, you noob, you can't even destroy these enemies. Yeah, well, they're empowered a little bit. But still, like I said, none of these things are really that difficult. I'm still, if you look at my time in the right corner there, I have almost 12 minutes and I'm halfway done the dungeon. So, not that bad. So, basically, this is Torment 8.5, and I'm still, running through here with relative ease. It's just, I hate how everything is so spongy. Too many damn hit points. I just hit 1.73 billion with one of my attacks. So you see, it can get up there. It's just I'm just trying to get the build where I need it to be. There you go. And as far as glyphs, I mean, I basically picked glyphs that offered the biggest bonuses to my attack, or in, like, for instance, let's see, this one right here, I didn't really need the thorn damage, but the revenge glyph greatly increased the damage of the rare nodes around it. So I went ahead and picked that anyway because it offered the best damage boost. So there you go. That's my build. So it can go, this build can very easily go up to Torment 8 and have no problem. So, and there's only up to Torment 12. So we're almost, you know, we're getting really close to absolute perfection with this build. And the thing is, most of the people you see playing in Torment 12 are people that are using exploits, and they're using broken builds that haven't been nerfed yet. I've seen enough of these videos on YouTube to see where the people that are doing obscene, like 500 billion damage, are using broken, soon-to-be nerfed combinations. Whereas this character that I'm using here is just basically using... the best way I could put it is he's using off-the-shelf parts, basically. This is a very standard character. You know, there's no frills, basically. It's just, you know...
What is a waitress, isn't it?
One thing I will say is when you're tempering your items, and I believe I've said this in other videos as well, is always make sure to go for the increased damage bonus, especially on your two-handed weapons, because it will be much higher. You know, this is all basic stuff everybody who plays this game should know. There's a few, like I said, this character build needs work, because I still need to find... a better roll of the third blade. I need to find a better roll of Ariat's Bearing, which will greatly increase my damage input because of that ancient skill damage boost and the fact that it will summon another ancient. And I also need a Heraldric Seal that has 6 slots instead of 5. I do have a 6 slot right here, but it's basic. It's for Berserker's Crucible, and I don't use that ability, so you know, there's no sense in using it. So that's my build. There's a lot of neat uniques that I got in this game, but you know, not all of them really work too well with what I'm going with. So that's my character. And if you followed along with this guide and maybe got some ideas, good. I like the Barbarian class. I really like the way they've changed everything, and I love the new post-game and the ancestral mythic unique system they have, the purple items. It's really cool. Diablo 4 is not a perfect game by any means. I still think Diablo 2 is the best of the series, but I'm actually starting to really like this game. And for someone who quit it for like a year, that says a lot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, play games.